You do it.
To start. All right. Hey there. Welcome to the Street Epistemology call-in show. This is where you get to call in, talk to us, and we tell you you're wrong and stupid. No, that's the wrong thing. That was wrong answers only. Do we have a? Oh, good. We have the call-in here, StreamYard, in the text link. Somebody might have to log on to YouTube and pin that. So, anyway, call in. We'd love to hear from you and see you and hear your claims. And you don't have to present a claim. You can ask us questions. You can make us present a claim. We'll dance. We'll be your monkey dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good to be here.
Welcome, Reid.
Good to be back in LA with my equipment again. I've been
sweet
without that, and it's been pretty bad audio on other shows.
Welcome, Chucky.
I'm back now. Hey, Chucky.
How's it going? How's it going, guys?
Great.
Feels good.
It's been a while since I did one of these shows, but I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, it's only been about a month.
I
know, because I've only been doing these shows about a month again. Yeah, and you did the show just before the last one I did. This is our first overlap again. Yeah. So let's see. I don't see any comments. Can anybody who's logged in tell us whether we sound good?
Yeah, I'm listening to it. It seems fine.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So 4 people watching. This is where we have a countdown, just to let enough people get into the stream so they can do something.
Yeah. So how's it been going? I mean, I haven't talked to either of you in a while.
Yeah.
Anything? Any SE news in your lives?
I'm getting back into public. That's a good thing. I took a long hiatus after I was sick, and then my mental health just crashed. So now I'm back to my social anxiety is under control enough that I can come out and talk to you fine people. Feels good.
Nice.
All right. Want to go to UCLA on Wednesday? No.
Okay. We'll talk about that. I'll figure that out. Right now, yeah. Tonight I'm going to be doing the first SE in the public again that I've done almost a year. I'm sitting in a weird place. I'm in the corner of the living room of a house that there's going to be a party at tonight, and I'm going to be stuck in the corner of this room, well enough away from the music, and interviewing partygoers. SE Light. Minimum push toward falsification. Going to keep it levity, not.
Yeah. Don't want to ruin the party mood.
Yeah,
the party vibe.
I don't want to dig very far into cognitive dissonance. So it might be a little bit of an open mic, letting people just talk about what they believe and not get pushed hardly at all.
Right. Yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen? People get to talk.
Yeah.
Good morning. I want to say nutmeg, but that's not right. What is that?
Nut 40?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, I think it could be tricky to try to have like a deep conversation at a party. I've never had good experience with that myself. Eventually, somebody will say something like, why are y'all talking about such stupid stuff? Right? And then yeah.
Well, in this space, they will know that we're doing a live stream and that we're doing one-on-one
interview. Oh, you're actually
interview.
streaming it too. Okay.
I'm going to live stream it. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And that it will be kind of open mic in the sense that somebody can sit down when it's their turn and and I'll be very patient and allow people to just talk rather than follow my format if that's what they prefer. So,
Cool.
as far as SE quality goes, I expect to give a little of that up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty worthwhile just to have conversations with people. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What about you, Reid? You said you got back from traveling?
Yeah.
Doing anything SE related?
I did the Bogosian reverse Q&A tour. That was
Right.
increasingly more and more SE as the tour went on. As Nathan and
I saw one
tried
of the
to make
review videos. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not all the way, but trying to get there.
The students are trying to influence the teacher real hard.
Yeah. It was funny almost. The one that I watched, the participants almost seemed more more ready to have an SE conversation than Peter did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Peter's very focused on intervention.
Yeah.
I've had to
He's
turn my
entertaining.
intervention down to about 5% of what I would like.
Yeah.
In order to not skid out and crash things.
This, of course, is our food table.
Yes.
So we're not going to be able to use it tonight?
I'm not going to be set right here for tonight.
Oh, you're not?
I've just set, right now, we're on a live calling show. And yeah, you can move that way. That'll work. And this will be for 2 hours. And then I'm going to completely reset for the tonight's party.
Oh, all right, whatever.
Yep.
Okay, hope it all works out.
Yeah.
I've got to go buy food, but I'm slightly insane because my lead dancer can't be here tonight.
Oh.
And it was chilly here last night. I was concerned.
Oh, we actually have a caller.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good.
Anyway.
Okay.
Let me turn off that banner then. Hello, Joshua. We'll wait for your video to come on if you have a video. I wonder if their audio is working as well. Ideally, get on video as well, Joshua.
I cannot hear Joshua if he's talking.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
I'm not hearing anything yet.
Oh, he's gone. You don't have to be on video. I mean, ideally, but maybe they're restarting or refreshing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great time to call in, ask questions, have a conversation. Looks like Joshua's going to try to get back in here, but if anybody else wants to.
Okay, yeah, PC would be better.
Yeah, PC's good.
Still almost over my COVID cough, but I may be coughing at some point.
That's a shame, but I guess it's good that you're recovering.
Yeah.
UCLA on Wednesday. Still got to come back to that.
Or Echo Park Lake tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow I have, I plan to get my fingers greasy or wear gloves to keep that from happening.
What does that mean?
I'm going to be tool boy for my son, swapping out a turbo on a Subaru.
Oh, okay. Is that a car or a motorcycle?
Yes, it's a Subaru wagon with a 2.5 turbo in it that's got like 170,000 miles and a broken turbo, and otherwise is still pretty good. So we purchased a turbo and a couple of extra parts and things. And
is that a piece of an engine or an engine?
It's the piece on the side of an engine that is very much a part of the engine.
I think
it leads into. It's connected to both the intake and the exhaust manifolds, but you might also think of it as part of the exhaust system.
I like using car analogies to talk about how people are inherently scientists. Like there's something intuitive about diagnosing a car, even if you don't know anything about cars, but you know that like you follow the symptoms and you follow the evidence, right? And it would be weird to suggest things that are unrelated. So I don't know, but just trying to tie it back to SE because I don't know anything about cars.
Yeah, I think troubleshooting and epistemology are closely related.
Yeah, diagnostic careers in general, But I think when it comes to cars, people are very sort of no nonsense, and so it's a good,
Yeah.
All right, looks like we've got another caller.
Luke Vance. Hey, Luke.
Hey.
Long time
Good day, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Hey, how you doing? It's been a while.
Doing very well.
You still alive? I can see that.
Yes. 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 I'm still
you.
alive and I am almost sane.
The best you can. Nice. So I have a claim here if you want to explore it. And it's a claim about morality. I just talked about it, but I felt like it didn't go. It's about objective morality. So without God, there is no objective morality.
Okay.
So that would be the claim.
Who wants to field?
And we could go off script and team. Luke Vance is tough and awesome and could handle it.
I can. I'm a big guy.
It sounds to me like this might turn on the question of what objective means. Could you define objective as it relates to this argument?
Something that is true whether you want it or not. Usually I take the example of the shape of the Earth. Okay.
So independent of any of my opinion, something could be known to be morally true.
Good. Let's say an action. This action can be said to be good whether you think it's not good or you think it's good. It doesn't change that it is good.
Is that fair?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay. Cool. Something's true whether we believe it's true or not. So you now have a connection from God to this morality that is true whether or not I or anybody else's opinion matters.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about God and how we connect God to objective morality.
So God is a perfect being and therefore cannot make a mistake when asked a question. So when asked, was it a good thing? And he answered, yes, that's objectively good. The action was something that was good. There is no way for it to be otherwise, because if it is otherwise, like the case of the matter is different, then he would have made a mistake and he wouldn't be God and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we need this kind of a perfect being that cannot make a mistake and is able to communicate with us.
Okay. How do we know that God is perfect?
Oh, we define it as such. It's a definition. See, the perfect being is called God, or God is called the perfect being. It's like you can make other attributes to gods that are not real, but the attributes that is pertaining to the God I'm talking of in this circumstance is perfect being. So you could have gods that are imperfect, like the Zeus god, or I don't know what kind of gods that you can think of that are imperfect. But in this case, to have objective morality, I'm talking about a god that is perfect.
Okay. Is it possible to have an imperfect God and still have objective morality?
No. Like if there is no perfect being, morality will not be objective.
Ah, Okay, so in the absence of any one being perfect,
Correct.
morality could not be objective.
Correct. Wouldn't have
Okay.
the answer will always be we don't know. If it's
Okay.
we might make a mistake. The individual giving the answer saying I'm sure that this is true, that it is a good action, would be able to make a mistake. Therefore, saying subjective to that person.
Okay. Well, I think by your definitions, I am convinced.
Mhm.
Yeah. If there is a perfect God, then there is a perfect morality.
There is objective morality, yeah. Otherwise, it's subjective, and that's such
Yeah.
well, that's troublesome. How does it change the word if we do agree there is objective morality or not agree? If
Yeah.
morality becomes only subjective, therefore, rape is good in some situation.
Yes, Joshua. But not the one that wrote the book, just the other one.
No, yeah,
The other
I'm
important
not
one.
that old.
Yeah. So, given your definition of objective and given your definition of God, if your God exists, or I am firmly convinced that morality would be objective.
So, the question that is missing here is, how do we test it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do we test
If
whether
what?
there is a perfect God?
If there is a perfect God. So the only way to test it is to listen to God's answers. That's the only way to test it, and observe the consequences of listening to his answer.
Could I be fooled?
By
Could I
a
be
different
so?
God.
Maxwell's demon thinking. This is a clever, powerful. What's the word? Somebody who's trying a trickster demon.
The devil? Yeah,
Okay.
you could.
The devil could convince me that I am hearing from a perfect God and that God is perfect.
No, convince you that the action is good, and then
Sure.
he is God. So he says, "I'm God," and I'm telling you that this is good when it is not good what you're doing, or you will do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the check and balance to say that the God that I'm hearing from, if I read the same books as you're reading, the same sources, is the real one? How do I check?
You have your own values, morality. You are raised in a certain way, and there are things that are how can I say, personal. Like everything that you believe or all your knowledge is based on your personal interaction with the word. So what you do, how do you make ask again?
I'm trying to figure out whether what I'm hearing from, that I could rule out a trickster powerful demon.
Yeah, alone it's hard for certain for easy question like drinking water or juice.
Sure.
It's not that hard, and the consequences of not doing the good thing are not that grave. You know, there are small consequences because it's a small choice. But for bigger choices like should I pick this job or that job? You know, like which job should I pick?
Yep.
Those questions can be asked to others that have are available to communicate with the God, and they will be able to tell you, yes, he gave me the same answer that you heard, therefore making a trickster less powerful or less room for the trickster to be the one telling you the answer that you heard.
Imagine that I am very, very smart, but not perfectly smart. And I knew Reid's mind really, really well. I knew the inside of Reid's mind, and I understood how he saw morality. Could I whisper into his ear things that agreed with his morality and convince Reid that I was Chucky?
Yes, you could try. So when Reid comes to this big decision, should I listen to this voice telling me that Dali is Chucky, right? If he were to ask me, Luke, that you have not control over my mind, you have only control over Reid's mind. But if he were to ask me, I would be able to say, wait, no, he's lying to you. He's not Chucky. Chucky is the other guy right there. So yeah. So that's why other people are needed for big things, small things you don't need. Maybe missing between Dali and Chucky is not that big in this census today, but in later dates, maybe yes, Reid, you should make sure that Dali is the one with the white beard.
Yeah. I bet with some shaving and a deep fake, we could fool you.
Yes, with the internet and the good technology at our disposal, we can do stuff that are amazing.
I've seen some deepfake stuff now that just says, "Oh, you have video of somebody doing something." You're nice.
Does that really
nice? That'll be entertaining. Yeah. What used to be very solid proof now gets all squishy.
Yeah, the video we still have a lot. It still has a lot of power to convince people because it takes a lot of time to fake a video. It's not that easy. You need knowledge and time to
all I
edit
need
the video and stuff like that.
All I need is a reward that's worth like a couple of weeks' work. Yeah. I watch a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew where they do this professionally, and most of the time they do it, and it takes about a week.
Okay. Yeah. But they have viewers like you that gives them money.
Well, they're a professional post-production house, and then they have little side videos that they produce using the tools that they have. So this is somebody who does it regularly, and then they do a demonstration for YouTube.
1 week. Oh, that's a long time. You know what I mean? It's like you need something really worthy at the end, right? To have it fake.
Yeah. Almost all of that week would be us grabbing clips of Chucky for like a few hundred hours of video with Chucky in it. And then some tens of hours of me after I shave doing things. And then the computer takes a few days to learn how to map Chucky's face onto mine. The actual performance is live, is real time.
I feel like maybe if we've strayed a bit from the topic.
Totally.
Yeah. But still,
we're talking about reliability of evidence, really.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
As similar as Dali and I are, and I'm sure computers can make it. But I'm really curious about this thing because I heard Dali ask about like how can you tell the difference between a perfect God and a nearly perfect God, and I'm not sure I understood the answer. Could we go back to that?
So for the answer was the God needs to be perfect for morality to be objective. If the God is not perfect, the morality will not be objective. It will be subjective. We won't have any one correct answer, 100% sure of the question, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
So maybe I misunderstood, but I heard you say that, and then I heard Dali ask, how can you tell the difference between a God who is perfect and a God who is nearly perfect?
I haven't answered that question. How can... So
how would you know which one you're dealing with?
When there is two gods, there are one of those two is stronger than the other in any kind of field, will be the fastest, the wisest. So the perfect one is the stronger one. When you have to.
But if there's only one, and you just don't know which one it is.
Yeah. So you make them compete.
No, but there's only one. There's one God. You meet one God, but you're not sure whether that's a perfect God or a nearly perfect God. How can you tell? That's what I heard Dali trying to get to.
Yeah. You tell
Yeah.
by making them compete. The perfect
No,
one.
but there's
with
only
the strong
one. There's only.
What do you mean there is only
maybe I'm
one?
not making myself clear, but
Well, there's only
you wake
one
up.
that's speaking to you. There's only one that you're getting
Yeah.
direct contact with. Is what we mean.
Yeah.
So you say to that God,
Right.
try to beat the other one.
No, but there is only one.
No, there is no perfect God at all. It doesn't exist. Right?
Is that the claim you're making, or are you asking clarification?
Clarification. In you keep saying there is only one God that tells me something. And is
I'm
there
saying
another
all right,
God
let
that
me
is
try
perfect?
again. Sorry.
Almost perfect.
So you are aware of a God. This is the hypothetical.
Okay.
You've become aware of some sort of God.
Yeah.
How do you tell whether that one God is perfect or nearly perfect?
So I am aware of the perfect God too, right?
So maybe I'm confused. Are you saying that there are two gods?
There is this one that is imperfect, and there is the perfect one. The perfect one must exist.
So I feel like I've confused things. Maybe Dali, maybe you could try to re-ask what you had
So
originally
I
asked.
think there might be two things that be gods that are more powerful than us in Luc Vance's worldview. The second is the devil, is a trickster trying to fool us. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, there is a devil.
Luc Vance is
Again, the devil is, in my worldview, there is a devil, but he's not alone. There is other entities, other angels, and
okay.
and
It's more
God.
than two.
And so, yeah, there are more entities that
So
are
more than
communicating
two
with
things
the
that are more powerful than us.
Oh yeah, way more.
Yeah.
We have devils and we have angels that are
Yeah.
more.
We
powerful
might
than
have
us.
the perfect one has a capital G and all the others have a little g.
Yeah, like
Or
we call them.
I don't really care what we call them.
Yeah.
You said must exist. Why must it exist?
the perfect God,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So this comes to the not the Kalam argument, but the prime mover argument, this kind of thing. So when it's a philosophical argument, and when you go back in time, the prime mover and other things, it must be perfect, because if he's imperfect, he might have made a mistake, and the mistakes are making a mistake when you create everything has dire consequences. Things doesn't work out.
The universe exists. God created the universe. Therefore, a perfect God exists.
Yeah, the chances of him making a mistake. How can I? It was explained to me better than I can do it. Right? It's a philosophical question that the philosophers explained to me. But for the universe, or to create something as precise as what we observe, we need this kind of thing that we could call perfect, or what we call perfect is indeed the strongest. That's just a word that we make on top, the one that is at the top. Maybe there is imperfection, but not really, because we cannot fathom what is imperfection to that being. So the prime mover, since he doesn't have a creator and it created everything, must be perfect.
Could an imperfect God make the universe that we live in?
Yeah, but he would have a creator. This God that created our universe had the creator. You understand? That's why he's imperfect. Only the one that doesn't have a creator is perfect. That's the only thing, because you are everything you is. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. If you were created by something, you were not perfect.
Correct. It's no, yeah. Well, there is someone stronger than you, your creator. Yeah.
It's a strength thing. If you
Yeah.
can create stuff and you weren't created, you are the most strong.
If you weren't created, you are the strongest. There is only one being that is not created.
How does strength relate to creation or the ability to create?
So, I'm thinking of an AI. No, doesn't work. Well, yeah, you still have the plug, but a program, a computer program, you can create a computer program, and if asked, are you stronger than this computer program that you created? The obvious answer is yes. He can do stuff, but I can do more stuff because I live in a different dimension than this thing.
Could a man and a woman create a child that eventually becomes stronger than either of them?
Yes, no, yes and no. So they are not the creators of the child. Child is consequences of nature. Nature, like the rules of nature, like burning your hand when you put it on the stove.
Yeah.
You're not stronger than the stove. You're not stronger than nature. So yeah, the rules of nature can allow children to be stronger than their parents, but they are not the
Natural
creator per se.
processes can allow created things or consequences of natural processes to be more strong than the previous generation of the thing.
Yeah, so I don't like the idea of parents creating children. That's the word create here.
Oh,
I don't like this one.
That's not what you mean when you mean create.
Correct. I'm thinking more of a computer program or a book that I write, or a character in the book that I write.
A character in the book you write.
Yeah, like Superman. Superman is a character that is stronger than me, in quotes, because he's not stronger than me. If I want to delete him, I will just rip the page and there is no more.
Yeah.
This Superman is not there anymore, so I'm stronger than him.
Yeah, you have a meta strength that he can't even see.
Correct. Even fathom. Cannot imagine the famous fourth wall that exists in something. So yeah, there is. I am stronger than Superman.
All right, so this concept,
maybe not me. The creator of Superman is stronger than me.
This concept of a super strong creator god, is it like Superman or is it actually real?
Yeah. So how did you? There is this prime of arguments and things that kind of say this is the case. It could not be otherwise. So there is no other options than a prime mover, and this prime mover cannot be something imperfect because perfection is needed for it to not have a creator, kind of thing. It's composite. I'm not the best one to explain the ideas, but that's what the information I received from those philosophers I talked to. They were better than me.
Are you? I don't know if I don't want to put this on you. Are you saying it could not be otherwise because we can't think of any other potential explanations?
No, I'm saying that they explained it to me better than, and the last phrase about that being able to have other answers is something that I kind of understood from what they say, but I might be wrong. Right? So if there is other answers of a being that can be created and be perfect, right? Can a perfect being be created? Not the creator, but the created part. I don't know why. What is this being? Why is he perfect? Why is he better than the one who created him?
Is God a good explanation for this phenomenon of the universe existing?
Good, yeah. Good in morality, good, or good like
good epistemically.
Yeah, well, that's the only answer to the question. Why is there something instead of nothing?
Okay.
I think maybe this is a good place to stop. We've sort of moved away from maybe the morality component, and I think we've identified a deeper question, which is how do we know there is a God?
Or perfect being, yeah.
Or
Why is the
perfect
perfect
being?
being necessary to exist? And it comes to
that suits
goes
my
to
agenda
the
like
primary.
crazy. I appreciate getting down to the testing of how we can know the one thing or the other. I'm all about categorizing the epistemology and testing the quality of the evidence.
Yeah.
All right, we
Thank
can
you
pick it
for
up
that.
next time, Luke.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Luke.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
Let's add Joshua.
Hey, am I
Hello.
coming
Joshua.
through all right?
Hey, yeah.
Good day, Joshua.
Perfect. Good day, everyone. Good to finally talk to you again, or eventually I've come across some of you in either Discord or wherever else. But hopefully I'm using a pretty cheap mic, so if it goes terrible, let me know.
Sounds pretty good.
Perfect. $2 Chinese mic. I just wanted to have a chat about, I've been trying to practice SE in essentially virtual reality, which has been quite a different experience than doing it out on the street and talking to people walking down the park. So the biggest difference is, I think, in at least where I'm doing in VR, which is called VR chat, which is a very chaotic place. People are there to actually engage with others, like they're going on a platform to have social interaction in some way or form. And so I feel like other people I ask if they're keen to do an interview, the hit rate is like 75% rather than like 10%. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's like the biggest difference in my opinion. It's not all upsides though. Like if you're, I don't know if any of you have actually had a look at VR chat, but if you go into like main public, let's say engagement rooms, might be a very simple way to put it. It's very, very chaotic in that there's just like madness going around there. There could be someone dressed as an avatar as Kermit the Frog screaming profanities at you.
I've seen videos of this, yeah.
Oh yes, I remember this one now, Reid.
Yeah, I've tried this in big screen. It's been pretty good. I haven't tried VR chat yet. I should try that.
Yeah, when this is definitely a more sterile environment compared to VR chat, where
I limit the room size even, so it's just like me and the person and the other. Yeah, just us SE people.
Yeah, it's very often if you're doing it in one of these open rooms, someone else will come up and just like either stand next to you and listen, and like it's kind of interesting to watch because they'll get engaged in the conversation. And if someone's coming along and wanting to, let's say, interrupt or troll or something like that, they'll go, no, be quiet. These people are talking about something, and or like trying to like encourage the person to like simmer down, which is quite interesting. So yeah, you get a higher hit rate, but you're essentially inherently doing it in an environment that distractions are everywhere. Like I'll even get distracted because you'll see something absurd, and then you're like, oh, I've lost my train of thought. What happened there?
Are there any technical solutions to control the conversations?
Well, you can block the people who are causing trouble, but the easiest way would be, hey, can you join me in a private room to chat about this? But that's when your hit rate probably go down because people are like, I don't know you. Are you going to be weird? And
I see.
And half the time, especially some of the younger folks are a lot more skeptical of the older folks for good reason.
Yeah.
And I do not want to portray that. Like some of the avatars I put on are actually like as the least intimidating as possible. Sometimes just to, or even have like a marker pen so I can like draw things, just so I can just like I'm just like I just want to have a chat. This is what I'm doing. You keen to do it? And yeah, usually people are keen to do it because that's what they're there for.
Do you have any recordings of any of this yet?
No, my current hardware limitations for that might not allow for it, or at least anything good. I run it off a Oculus Quest 2, which is the cheaper or more standalone version at the moment, and that struggles to run VR chat properly. And so, yeah, like it runs it, but it doesn't run it nicely. Might be a good way to put it. And so if I do get a computer upgrade, I might experiment with recording it. But making sure you're getting clips without certain things YouTube won't like might be a bit difficult, especially in some of those the more public spaces. But yeah, I've had people who I'd interview and they'd add me on the friends list of like, cool, and they'd hit me up and be wanting to do another conversation later. So they'd actually seek me out sometimes to have further conversations like that, which I thought were like, obviously I must have, at least they were fun. That's my takeaway for that.
I can't say that naming. Not nutmeg. Nagutu. What is it? I can't. In that guy, could you create a visual setup that it appears that two people are in one-to-one interview situation? Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a default setup.
Yeah, you can create any kind of world you want, really. But in the public worlds, you can have up to 40 people, I think, into a room. And most of the Black Cat and stuff like that, which is the most popular one last time I checked. It's just if you're there to try and interview essentially random people or strangers, you have to go into these rooms, and if you can convince them to join another room elsewhere, then that also works. But I feel like your hit rate and the logistics of it would decrease. But
yeah, is there like a more public area that you can just set up like a store front or something and invite people to a private area? Is that how that works?
Not in VR chat that I'm aware of. You could have a sign that like follows your head, like talk to me about anything perhaps or whatever, and you could like sit in a quiet corner of the environment. But you can't leave something physical in other worlds unless you're advertising it, unless you get someone to build it into the world itself, perhaps. But yeah, so we could create, like theoretically, someone could create an SC world or a world specifically for SC, where people would go there to have chats, or you could tag it with SC, which are deep and meaningful chats or something like that. And I'm not sure what you'd call it. So that's theoretically possible.
Wow.
We could have an actual cone of silence from Get Smart, where the two people sit in, the thing comes down, and other people can observe and hear from the outside, but the people inside can't hear anybody from the outside. That's
cool.
digitally easy.
Yeah, that's definitely feasible. The only other thing I wanted to say that's quite different about VR, well, at least what I've figured from VR interactions than real life interactions, is there's been quite a bit of study on this disassociation effect of one's identity when you spend a lot of time in VR, which might play a interaction effect with people's openness or willing to engage with ideas that might be held very very close internally. And so this, I was somewhat interested in this because I was like, there seems to be lots of cult-like groups popping up in VR as well, and so I was somewhat afraid that this dissociation element was helping people create not healthy groups as well. But it seems to nearly everyone I've talked to who's at least in VR, and then it could be so there are other possible explanation for this is the anonymity of it, because you're talking to someone random other side of the world, but you'll never see them again. So that it could be that element to it as well. But at least the impression I've got, people are very willing to engage in deeply held beliefs. Like I usually try to steer them away and we can do something silly or fun, because it's kind of what the environment is for VR chat. It's like half the people I talk to there are like, oh, I was just here to troll people, and now I'm having a deep conversation about God or something like that.
SC is not troll tolerant.
No, but they'll stop going from I'm here to mess with people to I'm here to have a deep conversation, which I think is quite interesting. That people are just willing to do a 180 like that. So I want to see more. I was hoping to see more studies in this disassociation of do worlds cost anything to build? No, it's just time, really. There's lots of material online that enables you to build a world if you need it. The likelihood is there are worlds out there already that would be worth that doing SE in would be already perfect for. It's just they won't have like SE tags or would be used for that. Like even some of the main world that's used, like Black Cat, which is essentially just it's a giant bar or a tavern kind of feel. And you just sit somewhere in front of a bench or just chat with people. Like the location isn't as important in my opinion. It's the people that you're engaging with. Because it's like the Black Cat's like an upscale bar. Essentially, it's got a water fountain and it's got benches and but people are happy to stand in the middle of the floor and just have a chat with you. You don't have to sit down anywhere.
Sweet. Cool. When I guess like should people who listen to this, how should we go? What's the next actions for this? Like, should we set a time that a bunch of SE people, if they have VR stuff, can go on VR chat and meet somewhere in VR chat world?
Yeah, that's definitely possible. You just have to, the easiest way would just to add each other as a friend and set a time, and someone will create like a public room that you would all jump into, and then people would join that room, or you can join another room, it doesn't really matter. And then you'd go around and start asking people if they want to have chats.
What's a good channel in the SE Discord to make a thread about this?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
So many channels.
Yes, there's so many already. Maybe someone in the chat will have a good idea, but I'm more than happy to help guide that, but I just don't know where. Yeah.
Maybe make a thread in the SE Resource channel, SE Resource Center channel. Make a thread in there about it, and we can talk there.
SE Resource. All right, I'll have a look. But yeah, that's everything I've put on my little list to talk about. There's a few things that make SE, I think, fundamentally different than doing it in real life, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Look forward to trying that out.
Thank you, Joshua.
You'll have
Thanks
a good day.
for
Thank you. Ciao. Later. Alrighty. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've never really done VR before, but it seems like if the community, different communities are actually interested in having conversations, it seems like the perfect place to do SE.
Yeah, I think Big Screen VR has YouTube now native within the app, which is interesting. We have another caller.
Yeah.
Nigger.
Well.
Oh shit. Clip that out later. Doing it live, that's the problem.
Yeah.
My.
It's it seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking, about VR. The people are probably just looking for conversation, right? And so it seems like the perfect place to do SE. Like, there's no particular goals. There's no, they're not going to be distracted from doing something else. They're there to have a chat.
Yeah.
I think anonymity can be really freeing. Somebody might be very concerned that their social group would see them, and they can grab an avatar that doesn't agree and explore a new idea much more freely. Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, anonymity is certainly a double-edged sword, huh?
Yep. Especially if you are turned off to porn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, might be a good idea to look at maybe just banning them from the channel.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is a good time
Make
to
us edit. Oh man, yeah.
to do a reset, we're here to take your calls about things you believe, things that you want to explore, your reasons for belief, and maybe questions about SE. We're also pretty interested in hearing what experiences you have with SE. We have another caller. Should we take the plunge?
Risk it.
I'll be ready.
Go for broke.
Here we go. Hello, Brandon.
Well, hello.
God damn it.
I
All
only
right.
saw a black screen. Was there anything interesting in that?
Something. I think
It was more animated this time.
I have to. I'm quite
Oh, okay.
surprised that we even have a big enough.
There's only 27
Surface.
people watching. How's that?
Right. Like, why are people interested in? Well, we have another caller.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I think they're just. There's got to be.
You think they're fake people? at
And
this
now
point?
there's like, should we SE ourselves on the confidence that this is a real? Frank, if you're a real person, hold up number 2 fingers. Frank, hold up 2 fingers.
Frank.
Or are you a recording of someone sitting in a chair, Frank?
I see.
Frank, if you can hear me, hold up 2 fingers. There you go. Yep.
Oh.
Can't see that.
Well, you
That's a good-
certainly called
that's
it.
a good.
Reid.
That's a good test for people coming to.
That
come
is a
in.
very good
That
test.
is-
They have to hold up 2 fingers, or
They have to hold the correct number of
the
fingers.
correct number of fingers, or the troll will have to
Yep.
record someone holding up
Yeah. If-
either 1 or 5 through 5 fingers, and
If it gets fancy enough, we'll have to include feet, which will just make the matter worse, I think.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it actually, you were kind of joking, but it might be a good idea to have discussions amongst ourselves, SE amongst ourselves. We have another caller. Jackson, if you're a real human, would you like to hold up 2 fingers and show this you're a real person?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
Not a real person.
yeah.
I suspect that this is not 4 different people.
Yeah, I think,
Right.
I think
Yeah, they're
you're probably
they're
right.
just going through different recordings of people he has.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a shame that there's no great way to tie them to the YouTube account. I think that's part of the
Well, it could
thing
be
about
Twitch or
StreamYard.
Facebook or who knows.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hello, David.
Well, I think
David, if you're a real person, please hold up 2 fingers. Nope.
interesting. All right. Well, how about this? So
Yeah.
How about we explore claims with each other? I don't think I've always wanted to see a conversation, between 2 SE people, and I don't know how many examples there are of that. Do any of you have claims? I have a bunch of claims, but if you have something that you really want to talk about. We also have Luke in chat offering to talk about another claim. We could do that.
We could do that. Luke is good. But yeah, as far as SE people doing SE, I've seen a lot of that on the Discord practice. If anything, that becomes the limiting factor. That SE with people who already know SE is a very different game than SE with somebody who's completely fresh to it.
I hear
public.
you, and
So-
and I think that would definitely be true if the claim were like like a factual matter. But there's plenty of claims that are more about feelings, and I have
Sure.
plenty of beliefs that I don't think I should necessarily hold, but I do hold them because of the strong feelings. So that might be interesting to explore.
Okay.
But Luke is back
Yeah.
on. If we could take another.
Luke, then
Maybe,
Chucky.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe we decide whether to tag team Luke or maybe someone else talks to him. What would you guys like to do? Doesn't matter to you. All
Doesn't
right.
matter
All
to
right.
me.
Let's see what Luke thinks. Hi, Luke. Welcome back.
Hey, yep, is that good? So
Please hold up 2 fingers. No, I'm kidding.
Not those.
I have a cross. I can't do that. It's a joke. It's a joke. Just want to be funny. Yeah. So pick a number. 28. Let's say 28. Without empirical evidence, your confidence in a claim shouldn't be more than 65%.
I'm much more interested in hearing a claim that you feel impassioned about than a claim you pick off a list.
Those are claims that I'm passionate about.
Luke has a long-standing
claim.
list of things he's impassioned about. Yeah.
Miracles recognized by the Catholic Church are proof of God.
Say it again.
Miracles recognized by the Catholic Church are proof of God.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's one of those that I typed it in the chat. So.
All right. So you maybe I'll take the lead on this one.
Sure.
So what's a miracle? What do you mean by miracle?
Extraordinary event. So it's something that is out of the ordinary. I will move you. Okay. Oh wow, I'm bigger now. Now I'm bigger. Okay. So this event is something that happens that is extraordinary, out of the ordinary. And it is recognized by the Catholic Church as an act of God.
Okay, so the Catholic Church has a list of these events.
Yeah, there are many of those, and it's not any extraordinary events. It is those that are recognized by the Catholic Church that are proof of God. The others
so
are
there's
not.
There's something about the Catholic Church being involved in recognizing that make them hold weight for you. Is that right?
Correct.
What is it? Do they investigate them? Do they document them? Can you talk about that?
So they investigate and they document the event, and they check that it is not another entity that is responsible for the event.
So let's say there's an event that people are claiming that it's a miracle. How does the Catholic Church figure out whether or not it is a miracle?
So transubstantiation, miracle of Eucharist. The Eucharist miracle is one of those examples that I like to pick because it is easier to understand. What happens, the event was a priest hold the host in his hand, like the round thing that priests hold during Mass.
So I'm not a Catholic. Can you maybe probably a lot of our watchers, listeners are not Catholics either. Can you explain what you mean?
So you know that during you have seen the picture of a priest holding something in his hand and presenting it to the others. You haven't yet?
Are you talking about communion?
Communion, yeah. Right before communion, there is during the process of Mass, there is elevation, and during this process, there is the host that is presented to everyone. Well, communion, you have a host in your hand. It's the same thing.
Okay. So I'm vaguely aware of the practice of communion.
Right. So communion, you have some kind of bread in your hand, and you eat it, right? Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that he has on his right hand.
So this thing that he's holding in his right hand, that's what you're talking about.
Correct. So what happened in this event is that before we commune, we use communion. Anyway, I don't know how to say that in English. Anyway. There is a moment during the Mass where the Eucharist, God being present, is being present in the bread. Okay, the bread change for God being there instead of being God itself, or than before it was just bread. So the extraordinary event was that he was presenting this to the others, and the thing changed in his hand for flesh.
So I missed the very last thing you said. You said there was evidence that, and then I missed it.
So he presented the bread, and the bread turned into flesh.
So I'm going to just repeat back to you just to make sure I understand what you're saying. But you're saying there was an event in the past where a priest was holding a piece of bread and it turned into a piece of flesh.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're
That's
saying
the
that
easy
the
way to say
Catholic
it.
Church, has documented this and it's on their list of miracles. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So that's a great example. So
Yeah.
I think it's certainly something out of the ordinary, right? Go back to your definition of miracle. But I kind of want to go back to my original question. How does the Catholic Church figure out that this event happened?
So you have like every event in history, you have a detective work to do. You know, like you have clues and testimonies and the thing itself. You know, it didn't change back to bread. You know, it's still flesh.
All right. So I'm hearing 2 or 3 pieces of things. One is testimony.
Yeah.
One is physical evidence.
Yeah.
And maybe that actually counts for 1 and 3. So what other are there, just to help me understand, obviously if there's a piece of flesh, that's physical evidence. Were there other pieces of physical evidence? Like
for this one?
I don't know, drops of blood or something, or
oh yeah, this extraordinary event happens more than in one occasion.
Okay, it's happened.
There has been hundreds of them along the years. I don't know if all of them has been recognized by the Catholic Church, but at least one of them has been. So I'm good with that. So so some of them had the wine turn into blood.
Okay, so that would be another version, another miracle, a different miracle.
Yeah, well, the flesh, the wine turned into blood, and the bread turned into flesh at the same time. Those
okay. So both of those, do those always happen together? Is what you're saying?
No. Sometimes just the bread that turned into flesh. In those, from those I heard from, I haven't checked the miracle itself myself. Like one particular event.
You haven't personally seen it happen.
Yeah. I know that these happen. I heard about those, and I know they are recognized by the Catholic Church. Therefore, I use that as an example to answer your question. What is considered as miracle, and what happens when?
So presumably, there's like a website somewhere, CatholicChurch.com, and they have like a spreadsheet, right? And they say that on the 3rd of June, 1995, we witnessed the host turning into flesh, and so
that's exactly how you say it. You're amazing, Chucky. I like the fact that you remember hosts.
I'm trying to use your words.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is that you have confidence that the Catholic Church investigated each of these events. They went through and they looked at physical evidence, and they went through and they talked to people and got their testimonies. And from this combination of evidence, they would make a call and they would say this was a real event and this was maybe some of them aren't real, and so that one doesn't go on the list, right?
Yes, some of them are faked by someone else, a magician, kind of
right?
thing,
Exactly. Yeah. Right. But sometimes they're convinced. Sometimes they're convinced, and it goes on the list.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I think I understand what you're describing now. So
in the process, there is scientists involved.
There's scientists involved. Okay.
Yeah. So, like the flesh in this example of the flesh is presented to the scientist community to see what kind of flesh it is and if they could reproduce what happened, like turn bread into flesh kind of thing.
I feel like Reid's sending us a signal. So let's slow down just a bit. So I'm hearing you say that you believe bread can turn into flesh sometimes, and your evidence for it includes investigation by scientists and clergy, physical evidence, and testimony.
Correct.
How confident are you that this happens?
Oh, 90 or more.
More than 90%.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what when you originally specified the claim, I heard you say that the Catholic Church's involvement matters to you.
Yes.
What would happen if you found another website, ProtestantChurch.com, and they have a list of miracles, and they actually found, that sometimes, another food stuff turns into flesh. And they said, look, we looked at the physical evidence, we looked at testimony about the witnesses, and we actually had scientists investigate it. Would that convince you as much as the Catholic Church convinces you?
Oh, no, I don't have the, they are not reliable. This website that you talk about,
Okay.
because of it. So it depends on the reliability of the website you're talking of.
Okay.
If it
So
is as
let me try to
reliable
state it.
as the Catholic Church, then
Let me try to stay back what you're saying, just to make sure I understand, because I'm a little confused. So I'm hearing you say, specifically, you have confidence in the Catholic Church, but not in, let's say, a Protestant church. Is that what you're saying?
Ask again. I'm sorry. I read the text.
I know
that's what happened.
this thing's going right down.
Thank you, man. You made me not listen to the question because of you. It's your fault. I love you. All right. Yeah, listening.
All right. So I heard you say that if you saw the same sorts of evidence presented by a different group, a group who's not the Catholic Church, you would be less convinced. Is that correct? Yes,
because I trust them less.
Okay. So there's something about the Catholic Church that you trust, and let's say a different church that you don't trust.
Correct. So if I trust them as much as the Catholic Church, come from? The trust?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit confused because I thought that your confidence in the claim was coming from the actual evidence itself, but it sounds like some of your confidence is coming from the people who talk about the evidence. Is that right?
Yeah. So if I didn't trust the Catholic Church, I wouldn't be able to claim that this is true. I wasn't there to do the test myself.
I see. Okay. So because you didn't see the physical evidence, because you didn't see the testimony, you have to, in addition, trust the Catholic Church to report these things accurately. Is that right?
Correct. They're not lying when they say that there were people who did the test and those kind of thing,
So this sort of brings us to another claim, or another sort of underlying claim, which is, how do you know which church to trust?
Yeah, well, like you do with every people that you meet in, or every sources of information that you have. Why do you trust your teachers? Or when you go to school, well, because you trust your parents. Why do you trust your parents? Because there are many reasons for why people trust people. In my case, the Catholic Church is trustworthy because of the claims that they hold that turned out to be true. The one I investigated turned out to be true.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical. All right, and it's very simple, but it may be uncomfortable. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, it's pretty simple though. So let's go back to this idea that a Protestant church had a miracle, and it was down the street from you, wherever you live. It was down the street, and you said, and you read about it in the newspaper, and it says Protestant church had miracle where soup turns into blood, and you go, soup? I've never heard of anything like that. This is ridiculous. But I'm going to go down and I'm going to investigate it. And you go down to the church and you find physical evidence. You find the blood. They've got a bowl of blood with a spoon in it, and it's like, well, and you talk to the members of the congregation, right? And they say, I was here and I saw it turn from gazpacho into blood. So now there's no intermediary, right? We don't have to talk to the church. You see the evidence yourself.
Yeah.
Would you still be as convinced as you are about the evidence coming from the Catholic Church?
No, what I would need to do is ask a detective to do the work. someone
Okay.
that I trust, and so I would pay someone to go there, and
So maybe
say,
a scientist.
a scientist or a detective, someone who knows how to
Okay. I'm
investigate.
imagining Columbo.
Yeah, because
Columbo.
you have testimony of people saying, yes, I was there. Was
Okay.
they really there? Was they
Okay.
not really there? Scientists wouldn't be able to
So-
understand. So a detective is needed to
Okay.
have
Totally.
bring out the truth out of the thing. Who is
I'm with
lying?
you.
Who is saying the truth? And
I have one more question for you. I'm not sure about time, but I think maybe we're getting towards
there's
the period
time.
where-
Shit.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, here we go. All right. So
Columbo.
this is the question. So you hire Columbo, who is a great detective. I mean, I think we can all agree Columbo is a fantastic detective. What would Columbo have to do to convince you that this gazpacho turned into blood?
So I trust Columbo, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Again, if he's he's reliable in his conclusion. The work that he does is a good work, and he tells me, yeah, what they say is true, and this really happened. Therefore, the next step is for me to trust to have someone else that I trust again that will determine if this is an action of God or the devil, because the devil can do actions similar to that one, right? Because what I want to know ultimately is it really a miracle, something that God does into our reality? And is it possible that God does something in a Protestant church? The answer is yes. There is nothing preventing God to do a miracle in a Protestant church.
Okay.
So the next step is asking those I trust about, was it God or the devil? And
so if I understand you correctly, let me know if I'm misunderstanding, but it all comes down to the fact that you trust the person you hire to do the investigation.
Yeah, well, the people that are
the team of people.
Yeah, let's say there's a team. So this guy, I guess Columbo had this scientist team testing. Is it really blood, or is it just colored water? You know what I mean? Columbo, in his work, has a team of people testing the evidence that is presented before concluding, this is really happening.
But I think one of the interesting things that I'm hearing from you is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're saying that if you trusted Columbo enough, you might be convinced that this soup turned into blood. Is that right? Yeah.
So this event happened. Yeah. Was it God or not? That's another person than Columbo. I wouldn't trust Columbo with is it God or not.
That's a good distinction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between whether it happened and then what the cause of it is. That's what I hear you saying. Okay. I think this is a great place for us to stop. If maybe Dali and Reid want to come back in and ask maybe some other questions, or you have maybe questions for me about this, maybe this is a good time.
I think this is a good one. I think if there is any pebbles in shoes, they are generated, and it's enough.
What?
A lot of this is a pebble in the shoe. It's if we've explored the thing enough to expose the comparison, then that comparison we can think of later.
Yeah. If we did hire Columbo,
put too much on at once.
If we did hire Columbo, do you think the only hypotheses he would generate are God and
that's
the devil?
A great question.
Oh, no. Great question. I would hire him to say this happened or not. The event is true. Like the
transformation of the soup into blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to explain why is there a bowl of blood? And there could be many explanations for why that happened. A god could have turned soup into blood. Do you have any other potential explanations for why that could happen?
So Columbo work
God could have done it. The devil could have done it. Are there any other ways that phenomenon could happen?
Magic trick.
Could I have done it?
A magic trick. It could be the reason why it turned into blood, right? And Columbo would be able to say it was a magic trick.
My number one hypothesis would be this pastor wants to create a marketing scheme or a kind of publicity stunt to get his eyes
followers.
get
Yeah.
eyeballs on his church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Part
be
of the
my
story
number
was that it was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's my number one
Yeah.
hypothesis. It's a trick by the pastor or someone
Yeah.
high up in the church who wants to.
And Colombo would be able to say
Generate
it was a trick.
That's
Colombo
yeah,
would be able to say it wasn't something extraordinary. It was something explained by this. Well, maybe not him, but his team of scientists that tested the
So
blood.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something that's maybe a little risky because I think you're really into SE, right?
Me, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something that maybe I wouldn't normally say, but I also really trust Columbo. I love Columbo. I've seen, I don't know, most of the seasons of Columbo.
Well, we understand that Colombo is just a picture. It's not real Colombo. The real one doesn't exist, right? So
this
it's
goes back
to Colombo.
your...
It's not Colombo for real, right?
No, Peter Falk is an amazing detective. That's my belief. But no. I mean, yes, this idea of Columbo, this idea of this imaginary Columbo and this imaginary universe. But I kind of wonder if the Catholic Church would do as good of a job as Columbo does. Because I feel like they have a pony in the race.
Yes.
I'm a little concerned about that.
Me too, I was. But what I learned is that Columbo can be used and is encouraged to work in all those extraordinary events that are.
Okay, so if the Catholic Church hires Columbo, then you can trust the Catholic Church. Okay,
yeah,
that's what I mean.
Or does not prevent Columbo to do his work, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like if the Catholic Church were to say, Columbo wants to investigate and ask questions about the people, and the Catholic Church, no, I don't leave you the list of people. I would be like, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, I don't trust you anymore on that subject. But they do have investigators that are allowed, that comes outside of a church to investigate the thing.
Yeah.
They have their own investigators, those people that are paid by the Catholic Church to do the investigation, but they have outside sources. Sources can come in
I really like the way this conversation went, because I feel like we've ultimately identified that, like, where your trust really is, and I think if I'm hearing you correctly, your trust is in the Catholic Church picking fair detectives. And then, if we wanted to talk another 20 minutes, we could talk about how you know that is trustworthy. But I think I've said enough for today. Yeah.
It is fun. Yeah. So this happens. This is one of the reasons why, when compared to the Muslim world, where they don't have this kind of this step where they investigate what happened, the event happened. They don't do that for their miracles. So they say this happened. I trust the rabbi who was there, or I don't know what's the name anyway of the guy, and that's
Imam.
it. There's no investigation of what happened.
Mm.
And,
so I'm hearing more claims that I would love to explore, but
yeah, it's a big subject. It's a big subject.
It's a huge subject. But I think it kind of this conversation made me think about, how do I come to trust the people that I trust, and if they then hire a third party, how do I trust that process? There's a whole web of trust, really.
The teacher that used this book to teach you about history.
If only Columbo were real, then we would all have somebody we could really trust.
It's about, yeah, again, he was paid to lie to you, right? The real Columbo is a liar.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's paid to say something that are false. It's a fiction.
That's
anyway,
fair. That's fair.
I have a quickie while I have all four of us.
Okay.
A real quickie before you leave. I'd like to ask actually everybody. Do you have an opinion about whether the James Webb Space Telescope has recently been hit by a meteor?
No.
Okay.
I don't have an opinion.
Anybody else have an opinion?
Suspicious.
I have an opinion. Sorry, Reid. What?
The fact that you asked the question makes me just raise my confidence that it could have happened. So
my confidence is low because I feel like I would have heard about it.
Yeah, I'm like 5%.
Okay. Okay. What sort of evidence would compel you to believe that a meteorite has hit the James Webb Space Telescope?
I think
One of the Twitter accounts that
newspaper articles.
impersonates the telescope tweets saying I was hit by a meteorite.
Okay.
Ouch! You know, like the Twitter says, ouch!
Because that's just a fun way to share news about scientific stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are there people that you pay attention to, and if they told you, would that be enough? Are there news people that you trust, and one report would lead you to better than 50-50?
Depends on the source, but probably yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
not
I mean,
for me.
Okay. Luke Funtz, is
Probably
there a
not
source
for me.
that one report would be enough?
So the NASA Twitter accounts tweeting that, I would trust that news from the NASA Twitter account.
Okay, NASA
You know,
Twitter.
like,
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I feel
would-
like it
I
would
would
be
say,
Thin
well,
Box
strange.
all
Dictator
the other guys saying that it's
mentions
false.
Dr. Becky. I don't know if you know Dr. Becky Smithhurst. Was she?
Smithers?
Okay. How about Smithhurst? How about Fraser Cain, the fellow who spoke to a few weeks back?
Oh yeah.
Universe Today. Okay. How about Scott Manley? Anybody heard of him?
No.
I like Scott
Okay.
Manley because I play Kerbal.
Scott Manley covers Kerbal and space news and that kind of thing. Anyway. So you can hear from me that I have heard from Becky Smithhurst and the NASA Twitter and Fraser Cain and Scott Manley that a small micrometeor has hit the James Webb Space Telescope. And if you look at the array, it's down here. It's this one. And the hit was small enough that they don't expect it to have a measurable degradation of optical performance.
So it hit a mirror?
Yes. It's actually the 5th micrometeorite that they've detected, but it's the first one that has hit something optical, so far as I understand.
And
now, you've only heard from me. I could be lying.
I feel like Reid is buying it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah, me too. That is somebody I trust. I don't think that he will lie to me on the subject.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah. Don't trust
I
me.
don't trust you at all, Dali.
You're claiming
don't
there's
trust
other.
me.
You're claiming there's other public evidence
Yes.
I can check.
Yes, and 512. No, not that one. I'm not going 1 Corinthians. No, you shouldn't trust me, but it might be a place to go check, and you might become convinced. And I hope you're not convinced by just me.
Well, the consequences
Ray
of
Cosby
this
and Thin Box Dictator, however, are already pre-convinced.
Well, Dali, just between you and me, is it true or not?
Yeah.
Should I tell my friend that?
I believe it's true.
Okay,
I believe it's
okay.
true. As far as this isn't virtual, I'm being honest about it.
Okay, cool. It's not an hypothetical, right? It's an actual thing that you
Right,
heard.
but I want everybody to hold the potential of the hypothetical and that I'm full of shit or I'm just horribly misinformed because
Yeah, I still believe that this is a didactic experience, and that.
Oh yeah, Anton Petrov. Yes, he also reported it.
Oh, it's not alive, Jolly. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's a good idea for people to hold that view about yourself.
You
want
view?
People to trust you when you talk.
I want people to only trust me a little bit because I know that I have a high probability of error. At most, I want them to treat me like Wikipedia, a jumping off place to go find the information for yourself.
Wikipedia is a good idea. Oh! What does it say?
Between May 23rd and 25th, this is from NASA.gov, a blog post.
Yeah.
NASA's James Webb Space Telescope sustained an impact to one of its primary mirror segments.
There you go.
From
My
June
confidence definitely just went up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it's from Thaddeus Cesari.
Because I just read to not fake the website that he's sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fast, but he's not that fast.
Yeah, he's good
Yes,
with the
he
computer, but not that good.
Especially if we'd planned this.
Oh, Could you imagine?
This would be
I
so
just-
easy to fake. Oh my god.
Yeah, and this is not a Wikipedia page, and he says it's a blog from NASA, but I don't see the website. I'm sorry.
We could
That's up.
seriously, what he just put together wouldn't take me more than about 20 minutes to create in Photoshop. It's no problem. Especially if I could
Thank
copy
you
and
for the
paste the
laugh.
text, that would just make it so easy.
I mean, I
I
think
leave
this
the room
is,
for-
this is clearly the
for-
point, right? This is the point, is that
Mhm.
if we ever begin to doubt that Dali might have some skin and like reason for tricking us,
Yeah.
then it makes it very easy for me to say
Totally.
maybe we shouldn't trust Dali so much. Yeah.
Right, don't trust me.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of this, let's say that you have a bet and you bet
Sure.
$1,000 that we
Especially
this
don't
thing
trust
is
me then.
true, and if
Yeah,
now we have invested.
yeah, I've seen in that game.
Now I'm going to look up the NASA website, even if Reid showed it to me, and I trust Reid. I will be like $1,000. That's a lot of dollars. I
That's good.
wouldn't give.
Yeah.
For you before trusting you, but
Anyway,
there is
I
no-
brought that up not to talk about James Webb. It just happened to be something that I learned was recent and is, just enough surprising that you would have a
Yeah.
5% on just one report.
It's a great example.
And this is all just about what do we trust? How do we trust the evidence or not?
Well, thanks so much for the talk, Luke.
Yes,
Thank you.
leaving
I
the
had
room
fun.
for others.
Oh, Luke, I want to
Yes.
contact you later. I might like to have you read a character in a chapter in a book.
Wow. Okay. Talk to
I'm
you on
looking for
Discord.
people with specific accents that are not American. So I would
Nice.
just want you to read it in your own natural accent.
All right. I will try my
you.
best.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Have a good day,
it's probably an hour. Talk to you later.
Ciao.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was I felt good about that talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if anybody is in chat and wants to have a similar conversation, looks like we've got Joshua back. But
Oh, I've
Joshua,
just
are you there?
yeah. How are you going?
Good.
I have the claim which we could. Oh, there's lots of things going on the screen. Whether we could try to explore my confidence in terms of if VR is actually a good medium for SE.
Mm-hmm.
If
All right.
to
So
do
a
that.
different version of the conversation from before, where you're making a claim.
So I guess the claim could be VR enables SE practitioner to occur more easily. Might be not. That could be probably simplified.
Reid or Dali, would
Mhm.
would either of you like to take this?
Dolly can.
Okay. Yeah. The first question I have is, how would you measure your goals in SE? For it to be good, I have to have have an ought before I get an is or something like that. So I need to see what is
A
the
way to measure for a goal.
Yeah.
There'd be a series of components. One of them would be if the conversation was, let's say, positive or fun. The other would be if you're touching, you're actually doing SE and getting to the roots of people's epistemology. So, like, you could be talking about definitions all day and you'd not be doing SE at that point, or not entirely. And the last one would be the time that you're putting into it and the amount that you're getting out of these two, I suppose. So an efficiency factor.
right? Okay.
And maybe if you're having fun doing it, it's probably the fourth one, if there is going to be a fourth one.
Yeah. That fourth one wraps back around to the first one. Is it fun for them? Is it fun for you?
Yeah.
And then are you getting to the real epistemology, and is the cost benefit ratio better in comparison to other options?
Mm-hmm.
So in your process of doing this, have you how many conversations have you completed?
Probably about 20 or 30 in VR. So it's not a lot.
Okay.
I've done.
Well, that's a useful enough end to start answering this question if it's like obviously yes or obviously no. I would think.
Yeah. My confidence is probably sitting in around like 65% for it. It's like a slight leaning. So.
Okay. Do you have experience doing SE under other venues?
Yep. I've done it out in person with a whiteboard and standing in a park somewhere and stuff like that before as well.
Okay. How many of those in?
Probably about the same number actually, but the hit rate's obviously lower, so I've spent more time doing it. But yeah.
What's that proportion of time?
Like how many hours I need to spend for an X number of conversations or something like that.
Yeah, from the time that you're not doing something else,
Mhm.
then you're doing SE, and then you're not doing something else, which includes travel time and all those other sorts of things.
Yeah.
Do you think it's 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1? You said it was more.
Yeah. So probably about 3-to-1 is gut feeling on it.
Okay.
I think the hit rate might be the largest factor because if you're doing VR, you still have to boot VR up. It takes a while to load in. You got to go to a place and eventually find a person to have a chat to. And so there are still those costs associated with it.
Mm-hmm. How much is cost of time? How much is cost of money in your balance of investing in SE?
Cost of money, sorry?
You were saying there were some costs of like maybe transportation costs going to the park. Or maybe there was costs of VR getting a new headset or something.
I was talking purely in time, how much time you'd have to use to sit.
Okay. Yeah, so if we can keep it purely in time, and the money is not important to the question, this becomes much simpler. So do you have any examples in either case of a spectacular crash and burn? And the cases are out in public or on VR?
Yeah, I suppose I do.
Okay. How common are those?
It depends how you define crash and burn, and I'm not sure how I would define it either. Whether it's due to the interlocutor or maybe the environment might be different.
For me, I would hold a crash and burn as rapport was broken and the person left annoyed. And a rapport is broken because I did it, not because they started trolling, and that wouldn't be my failure at all. They had fun. They left happy.
Yeah, I don't think I've had. I can't remember any conversations directly like that. And
okay,
at least yet.
Okay, so none on the strongly negative side. Good. Now, have you had any conversations where you scored them very high in the getting to epistemology or very successful SE?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the proportion there? Is it much more in one than the other?
I feel like it's higher in VR.
Higher in VR?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I think that's largely due to the subject. A lot of the subjects I've done in person weren't as, let's say, either that less abstract in some ways, because a lot of the ones I did in person were concepts like there's always going to be evil in the world or something to that nature, where it's, epistemologically speaking, is a lot fuzzier than I believe X, Y, and Z does this, X, Y, and Z, I suppose, or usual faith.
Is that a 2-to-1 proportion, 3-to-1, 1-to-1, just a little bit more? How many more successful ones on VR?
I've probably had like 5 or 6 very good ones in VR compared to maybe 1 or 2 in out on the street.
Okay, so that's at least 3-to-1.
Yeah.
So overall, if I had your same exposure, I'd be about 95% confident right now because I've got a 9-to-1 advantage. Am I missing any measurement to make the advantage? Am I missing something else that is a counter?
Well, the chaotic environment, things outside your control, will probably be elements of it.
Yeah.
So
Since you never had, at least within your sample, you haven't had any crashes and burns, those are trivial, right?
well, they can completely, like, I've had interlocutors who just get like completely distracted because someone will come up and I can't remember what they say. Like, they'll interact with the person and then they'll get distracted because something else crazy or funny is happening just beside them, and then the conversation's ended. So that has happened 3 or 4 times, and usually it depends on the setting or the room that you're going into.
So I'm hearing that 10 to 20% of your VR end poorly because of a lack of control in the environment.
Yeah, maybe 30%.
Okay.
Somewhere. Yeah. So to me, that's definitely the trade-off. Is you're having a larger hit rate. You're finding people are more willing to engage in meaningful topics to them rather than maybe very abstract topics that they find interesting, which aren't necessarily a bad thing, but it can lead to more interesting conversations. But the environment itself is chaotic and leads to some losses there.
Well, you've convinced me. I'm going to go make sure my VR headset is charged.
Well,
let me know when you set up an environment. I want to come and join and play. If it's that easy, I want some of that.
Yeah, you might have a very different experience to me, but
sure.
Yeah, you can do it just on your PC as well. That's the last thing I forgot to say. You don't need a VR headset. Just run the app on your computer and walk up to people.
I've got one. I saw what Reid was doing, and he told me which one to go get. I got one, and then I haven't used it much at all. I spent maybe 15 or 20 hours enjoying myself and then I ran out of new things. I ran out of anything that's interesting. But that was maybe a year ago, so I should pick it back up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there.
I've been playing a lot of walkabout mini golf with my dad and brother. And there's a way to do like a one-on-one mini golf game with some random person. That would be a good place to talk with someone, playing mini golf with someone for 9 or 18 little holes. Maybe gives you like 10 minutes to go through it all usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a brilliant environment for it.
Might try
that. Just getting back to life finds a way. Is that right? Wow, there's a lot of comments. I don't mind. What was that? No, I can't find it.
But yeah, Joshua, do you did the conversation give you any questions that you hadn't thought about, or I kind of wonder, having listened to you both, are you maybe more bothered by the people who get distracted and wander off maybe than the participants?
Sorry, can you rephrase that?
So I sort of, maybe I didn't quite catch it, but I sort of understood that one of the things that bothers you about VR chats is that people can be distracted by the zany goings on of other participants.
Zany's a good word for it. Yeah.
And so I'm kind of wondering, do you think that bothers you more than the people you're talking to?
It doesn't emotionally bother me. I accept that to be a fact of VR, and it's like, obviously I'm like a little bit disappointed, but it's the environment, and I take that as one element that I quite like this VR golf here, but one element I think that is somewhat important in VR chat is having the person be able to see your posture and the way you're responding. Like I talk with my hands a lot when I'm in VR because that's one of the main ways that you can like posture and like move your head, like nod your understanding, and things like that might be a bit difficult in this case where you've only got the golf club and a head pretty much.
Yeah, but, and you may be tempted to shake your golf club at the other person.
Yeah.
Yep. In a violent fashion.
Cool. Well, thanks so much. Hopefully you have a better understanding. It seems like there aren't a whole lot of downsides.
I was largely thinking about it in a hit rate proportion, but thinking about maybe the proportionality of really good ones and really bad ones is a good way to measure it up.
Yeah, maybe the overall time successes to the amount of time it takes is another maybe good metric.
Yeah, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for calling in.
I think the ordering of my questions shows my particular bias toward I am more wanting to avoid crash and burn than I am trying to get the best, those awesome ones.
Yeah. What I don't know if you would consider this a crash and burn, but sometimes the software itself in your VR headset will crash, and so you're literally crashing. And
that's okay.
Okay, because like I've been through like 3 conversations, and someone else will crash me as I'm talking to this person, and just like, it's really frustrating because we're having such a good conversation, but someone else decided to end the conversation. It can be quite a rare occurrence depending on patches and stuff like that. So don't worry too much about it. But it was particularly bad when I was spending a lot of time doing it.
All right. Well, thanks again for calling in.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've helped some.
For Life Finds a Way, you can reach me at jugglinglessons@gmail.com. I'm looking for voice actors who have native UK and Australian accents and things that are something like that. Anyway.
So if anybody else, I think we have time maybe for one more caller. If anybody has a claim they're willing to talk about, or a question, or maybe just an experience with SE that they have tried it, I'm really interested in hearing from people who've tried it, like with friends or family members. Like I'm really keen on just doing it in everyday life instead of making it a spectacle. So if anybody has any experience with that, I'd love to hear about that.
Wait a minute.
I have second.
What's that?
There's another Joshua in the video in the queue.
Oh, I actually thought
but
that might be the same
I don't
Joshua.
trust that person. Joshua in the queue. Are you there? Unreal? Hold up 2 fingers.
Oh, all right. He seems like a human.
Okay. Okay, now we can see the face of the actual Joshua.
Hey.
Hi, Joshua.
Nice. Hello, Joshua.
Are you the same Joshua?
Hello.
Or different
No. No, there are several Joshuas around.
Okay.
I'm on the Discord server. I go as Joshua N usually. So, but Joshua or something like that.
Do you have a question for us, or a story to tell?
Yes. So I'm a part of a small, let's call it a minuscule group of self-proclaimed SE practitioners in Oslo, Norway.
Okay. Cool.
And this summer we're going to go out and try and have some SE in the local parks. The weather around is usually like we don't know if it's going to rain or not, but we're going to try anyway. And we have recording set up if we want to use it. And right now I'm here to say, if somebody watches this and is from the area around me, then please reach out on the Discord channel. There's a separate place there where we're trying to keep up to date when we're meeting, and just showing up and saying that, hey, I want to try this too. This is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Awesome.
So this is Oslo, Norway. I guess that Norway is kind of a weird place for doing SC, since it's not a lot of we're a pretty rational country. I like to tell myself that, at least when I'm trying to sleep every night. But that's one thing I wanted to say, and the other thing is a question for you guys. and maybe also something which kind of is a sort of an announcement kind of thing. I've been working on a SE related website for a while and asked around for input and stuff. And I'm thinking right now might as well mention that it exists. Maybe someone out there finds it useful and wants to offer some feedback and find ways to improve it. And that is a website called introducing.se. And it's more. It's meant to be used on your phone. It's a very short introduction, like a checklist of things which are useful to think about when practicing SE. On the computer, you get to. It looks like this, which is kind of weird, but it looks better on the phone, and it's more usable there. And
so you imagine this being a help for people who were trying to have conversations?
Yes.
Cool.
And just figuring out what it is and think about some options. But there's a question a little bit related to this and the idea of what SE is, which has been a discussion for a long while now. And that is when we share this information with others. Should we add a point at the end of this checklist that you saw there on the first page that is about critiquing the conversation? Because when we practice SE now on Discord, we do some critique afterwards. This is something you did good. I like that question. You could formulate or put that comment in a different way. That kind of thing, should we say that this should be a formal part of SE? Like if you have the opportunity to talk about the conversation you just had, these are the way, and offer some suggestions on what to ask or what to focus on, or and do some metacognition or conversation around the method afterwards. Is that something worth adding to SE? That's my question.
I know when I do really long conversations, like over an hour, I always try to take some time at the end to sort of decompress and say, how did you feel about that? Was that comfortable? Was that fun? Do you have any feedback about things that maybe were sticking points or anything like that? It's always seems helpful to me, but.
Yeah, we were just recently on the Street Epistemology website updated an old blog post called Street Epistemology, the Basics, which was originally made in like 2016 or something.
Oh,
but
wow.
now after we've written module SE overview, we've kind of identified these steps here. And the last one is step 7, post-conversation considerations. And we've got a bunch of recommendations for what to do after the conversation. You can reflect and talk to people about it. There's a bunch of things we recommend in the module 3. And then at the end of the course, there'll be a whole module in this, I'm sure. But that'll be a while. So resources like yours are great in the meantime.
Well, what would it look like if we would add something about self-critique or conversation or critiquing the conversation, like doing the meta conversation afterwards?
I know in engineering we call them postmortems, but that may be a little bit.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but yeah. Because one of the things I really like with that thought is that reflecting about the methodology of what you just did sometimes is useful, just by thinking and talking about that.
Yeah.
Is there something like the archetypical way I'm doing it is using something called the KISS method? It's ask what you want to keep, what we're doing, or improve, or start, or stop. Is there something that some comments to try to? Well, people aren't always happy to give comments immediately, but just having the option to do so and maybe offer some suggestions on how to go about it. I think I'm wondering if that would be useful, and so just throwing that out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're planning on writing all about that in the course at some point.
Yeah.
It can be helpful, I think, to also just check in to see how the other person is feeling. If it's a particularly heated conversation or a particularly maybe personal one,
Yeah.
you know. And I think it's even worth doing during the conversation if you find that maybe things are getting a little heated, is just to check in and make sure that they're okay continuing. And but I think you'll know pretty quickly whether someone wants to know more about the method. Like I've had conversations where people go, "What was that?" Because that was different than a normal conversation, and they're very clear about wanting to understand how the process works.
Yeah. And asking questions like, what kind of question, like quote unquote, this is the one one would ask, what would help to uncover this little thing quicker? Like, for example, we figure out the confidence, they have high confidence, but after exploring a little bit, we figure out that, well, maybe it wasn't 100%, because it turns out that there are ways to become more confident. So strictly speaking, you're at 90. How would you be able to ask some certain questions that could uncover that in a clearer way or quicker way?
Maybe. I'm worried a little bit about optimizing for time,
Well, it's or clarity or whatever.
Yeah.
Having some like having within the vocabulary a bunch of questions to ask.
You could, so maybe an example question might be, was there anything that I asked that really stuck out in your mind and you can't stop thinking about? Because I think that often is a good indicator of like what question mattered the most, because people will have a question that sticks out.
Yeah. That's a good point. Anyhow, if there's anybody in Oslo, get in touch. If anybody wants to check out my website, I would love some feedback. It's introducing.se, and that's all I wanted to ask about today.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks for calling in, and we've got the link in chat for anybody who wants to check it out. Joshua was saying it's great for having on your phone when you try to have a conversation.
Yeah, it's I put some work on it but I'm always thinking that some phrases could be missing, some thoughts could be added, some things could be made shorter, and also if somebody wants to help on the technology side, all kinds of contributions are welcome. It's open source. It's all Creative Commons licensed also. So if somebody wants to make a clone of it and find a better domain name, go ahead and do it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Right. Thanks for calling in, Joshua.
Thank you.
Later.
Someone called earlier. Someone asked earlier how Reid and Anthony get along with Anthony DeBosco types. And I'll deliver hearsay and say that Anthony has told me he likes and respects Matt and is happy to be on a show with him. And people have different styles. So there's my hearsay.
Yeah. This
Reid,
idea of
how do you get along with
a
Matt Dillahunty types?
I think I have a photo of me and Anthony and Matt Dillahunty together somewhere. I'll try to find that. So pretty well.
It takes all kinds, right?
Yeah.
Or it takes a village, depending on whichever metaphor you want to.
Tom Jump can probably do SE, but what he does isn't SE, and has a different goal and reaches a different person.
This video, I'm not sure I would describe it as fun. It was like watching a train wreck, but it was certainly entertaining.
Yeah. Aaron, don't change a thing. Don't worry about it. Stay where you are. You're doing it good. We'll do this over here. You can do that over there. It'll be great.
Oh, there it is.
Nice. Oh man, you look so young there, Reid.
I know. Wow. That's from a while ago.
Jesus. All right. Well, looks like we've only got about 5 more minutes left. So maybe if anybody has any more questions, put them in chat. Yeah, I think we had some really good calls today. I'm really happy about how these conversations went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hitting the wrong buttons. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. That's the one.
Yeah, I think if anybody wants to contact Joshua about his website, he said he's on Discord. I think he said his name is Joshua N, but I could be wrong about that. Or maybe misremembering. But if you want, put your name in Discord, Joshua.
Yeah, I agree. Tom Jump does things that are that overlap with SE. He does a much
he
more
talks about
grappling without
epistemology.
punching version of Socratic dialogue. Yeah. Whereas ours is more like a dance. No touchy.
All right. Well, should we wrap it up there?
I think we should. Yeah, we're within just a few minutes. Thank you, Rational Ruminations. We'll be here next week, same time. That's 1:00 p.m. my time and Reid's, and I think 4 p.m. for Chucky's time, things like that. Regular time on Saturdays. And right now we are also trying out doing Tuesday nights at my time, 7 p.m. That's Pacific, and that'd be 10 p.m. on Eastern time. Because we want to see if the audience likes a different time better, and we have to run them both for a while before we could choose. Anyway, so we're doing 2 of these a week. That's all. Hey, Chucky, Reid, do you have any current releases coming up? Any gigs you're doing out in public?
I'm trying to convince my rabbi friend to have an SE conversation, but I haven't managed to get a date planned yet. But other than that, I have some stuff that I'm working on, but I'm not ready to share it yet. SE related stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
I've got a great pilot episode of Steel or Straw I need to edit. Chucky was
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Reid.
Now I have time to work on that. That'll be fun. Besides that, I'm going to try to go back out and do some more IRL convos this week. So stay tuned. I don't think I'm going to live stream though anymore because it's too stressful for me, and there's just more downsides than upsides.
Yeah. If
Cool.
either of you ever find yourself on the East Coast, let me know.
Alrighty.
We will. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Talk to you all later.
Later.